Hello, my friends. I know some of you are wondering, should I vote, should I not vote? And if I do vote, who should I vote for? You know, in the language of the Gemara, you could sometimes have questions like this, that each question is split into two, and it goes 6 questions. It keeps going, because in the Jewish laws that Jews keep, there are many nuances, and it could be. So if this is right, then this has 2 paths to go, and if that is right on one aspect of it, then there's 2 paths to go. And sometimes the Gemara answers it, and sometimes the Gemara leaves it for the Rishonim to answer. And that's we have the Rambam and different Mefarshim that answer it, but the Rambam's the famous Nachmanides, right? Maimonides, whatever. This is a famous one that everybody knows. And Agav, on the side, I once heard that there was a whole group of lawyers, people that understand the law, understand, difficult questions in the law that they need answers for, and they try to compare, be medama this case to that case, and they took the words of the Rambam and they had it translated into English, or they got an English translation, and they put every single question that they had, every single difficult law question that there was, and they saw that using the Rambam's method, every single question had an answer. And it's not a, endless amounts of things you have to, it's the paragraph on these types of laws, and in this chapter is everything is answered in it. Absolutely amazing. I would encourage people to try that. But getting back to our question, we wonder, right, should I vote, shouldn't I vote, and if I vote, who should I vote for? This is a question people have. So my personal opinion is that I think we're in there's wars going on in the world, serious wars. People are being killed, right? People are afraid that war might come to us, right? Who knows what can happen when wars start breaking out? Already 2 countries. Well, Israel actually has a few countries around it. See, Russia and Ukraine is just 2 countries, but Israel is fighting a few countries. So you have to understand that there's a lot of war going on right now. And I think that the next president, it's imperative that we pick someone good. And that's something that we have to look into for ourselves. Which one is the right one? Now, it's important to know, sometimes we go to a drasha, we go to a big, speech and we go in there with our preconceived notions, and if the speaker says what we want to hear, then he's right. But if he doesn't, then he's wrong. We have to ask ourselves, is that really the honest way to go in? We have to hear what the speaker saying, I hold this, and then he or she explains why is this my opinion. So we have to hear and then digest, and if a speaker just says things and doesn't explain, then we can't use that speaker, because a person trying to find the truth, we have to understand the reasons, the methods, what is from where is this person coming from, why do they think that way, how does this outplay in life. We have to understand things. So we have to know that when we're going into this, some of us You know, we're already set. I'm Democrat, I'm Republican, and that's it. I think that we have to have a different focus in our lives. Our spouse, our kids, our family, what's best for them. I know that there's these two parties, these Democrats and Republicans, but I think we have to be a little more truthful with ourselves and say, it's true there are these two parties and people like to affiliate on this or that, but I think we have to say to ourselves, I affiliate with my family, and what's going to help my family? What's going to be good for my kids? What's going to be good for my husband, for my family? What's going to keep them safe and healthy and successful? You know, some people are very old, and they're like, you know, and they don't realize that their kids or their grandkids or their family, immediate family or extended family, there's a lot of young people there, and we have to think about them and see and think, what is the best for them? You know, we can't just be self-centered. So I think that's the way we have to go, and that's the way that I'm going to approach this. Not with, am I a Democrat, am I a Republican? Rather, I'm going to approach this, my family, safety of my spouse, the safety of my children, the safety of my family, my safety, right? We have to love ourselves. So what about me? My safety, not my ego, my safety. And how many times do we do things that are dangerous? Someone instigates us, and the person's pretty strong, and we get into the fight and we get beaten. Why? Because it was our ego. We didn't. Well, what's safe for me? So I think that's the way I'm going to be approaching this. So I ask that if you're able to approach it in this way, then please continue listening. If you're not yet able to do that, it might be best not to listen to this. So when we want to figure out something, how do we figure it out? We have to amass information. We have to amass information. Right now, from what I see, right now, what exists at the moment, there's only two candidates that could possibly be president, and that is Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. There's only two. That's it. There's no, you know, she came in, Biden was first, debating Donald Trump, and then, I'm not going to get into politics, whatever happened there, now Kamala is the one. And so we have Donald Trump, which is there from before. Now we have Kamala, relatively new. But these are the only two. If there's other ones, they're not, this is what people are looking at. So I don't know if I don't know if you could still have other ones. I don't know, anything could happen, but what we have at the moment, we're relatively close, to when the decision has to be made. So I think we have to start, we have to just do our research and then just decide, and sometimes the people are going to ask you, what did I vote for? You could just say, I voted what I think was good for my family. You don't have to say I'm Democrat, I'm Republican. You don't have to say all this. Just, say I voted what I think was good for my family. That's it. You don't have to remember. Sometimes we think we have to answer every question, especially when people are pushy. You don't have to answer. You don't have to answer. And so now we're coming in and we're wondering, how can I make this decision? How do I do it? So I know in the past that there were certain blocks, and you weren't on Donald Trump, and they did not allow people to access information. There was people that were trying to get to him, and for some reason it always went to someone else. There was, right now, but that's in the past. Right now, it's pretty open, and you could literally go and search and see what people did. And you have to remember that Kamala Harris has been there, this past time, and Donald Trump was there before, right? She was in the government, and Donald Trump was in the government before her. And they both were there, and we just have to simply look at what they did. We don't have to, I know that Kamala Harris in her speech, she said, with this debate with Donald Trump, so she said, about looking into, forgetting about the past and focusing on the future. But this is not like this is the decision that we need to make here. We have to look at the past. We can't just look at the future because the future didn't happen yet. The only way we can make our decision is from the past. And this specific, it's not forgiveness. It's not like someone's asking you forgiveness and you just forget. Here, there's a decision that needs to be made, and we need to look at now what happened in the past, not the future, because the future is the future. No one knows what will be. But we need to look from the past, and the past is usually a very good indicator to show us what the person will do in the future. So that would be what we need to do to figure out who we're going to vote for. We have to look what each one did in the past, and that will let us know what's going to be in the future. Now, some people could say, well, people could change. Well, it's true. Anything could happen. We have to look for consistency, It's unlikely when someone's consistent that they're just going to change. Now, if people just change all the time, so then we don't know what they're going to change to. But if someone's consistent, then we sort of know what that person's going to do in the future because they were consistent with this. But you see, one day the person buys when it's lunchtime, he goes and buys a pizza. A different day he goes and buys a bagel. A different day he goes to a shawarma place. Every day he does something else. So someone could say, I don't know what he's going to do the next day because every day it's something else. However, if someone every single day goes to the pizza shop, then you know that most probably the next day will also be. If for 100 days he went to the pizza shop, probably the 101st day is also going to go to the pizza shop. So we have to know that sometimes, and this is very important, right? Why? Because if someone's consistent, then we could make an educated guess what they're going to do in the future. However, if someone isn't consistent, we cannot make a good estimation what they're going to do because they're not consistent. So this is what will help us to understand who should I vote for. Now, I'm going to tell my personal opinion from what I've researched and seen is that first I want to get to one one aspect. People, I just saw that people are like very much focusing very negative. There was a debate, each one was saying their opinions, their things, but there seemed to be a certain, people were like, when Donald Trump said that there's immigrants that come from these, countries where they eat, things that Americans usually wouldn't eat, and they're eating people's cats and dogs, and for some reason they're like making fun of them. I don't see what's to make fun of. These people come from lands that they do that, and here you have a nice, they find a nice clean animal and they eat it, right? Well, they need to. So this is he's saying that's he saw a video, a clip or something of someone saying this. So I'm not sure what people get it makes very logical sense. There's certain countries that's normal to them. So even though we don't do that, but you have to understand a lot of the people coming in come from countries that is normal. So I'm not sure why that people are making fun of him, he's being very honest, and he's explaining himself. And then I see also people are like, he's like falling for her questions. He's not falling for anything. He's being polite and answering the question, even though it could bother him, that because in his mind he said it 100 times. So like, why are you asking me? But he's and everybody knows what he holds. He's very consistent, right? What we're talking about, he's very consistent. So why are they making fun that he's answering to Kamala Harris's question? That's what a gentleman does, right? The women come and she's worried about this and that and this, and the man comes, and says, "Don't worry, Shafala, don't worry, my, don't worry, this will be okay. Don't worry about that." So, he's being a gentleman, He's answering instead of ignoring her. He's answering her, and that's like weakness. Like he's being polite, and what does our world come from? That being polite and answering questions, even if someone is, is asking, bringing up a question that's not being asked by the interviewers, the two interviewers that are saying the questions, but that's what they're doing. And he's answering, even though he could have just said, "I appreciate your question, but we're focusing on what the questionnaires are asking." He didn't. He answered her question. So I'm not, so I think people are from what I saw in the debate, he was answering questions, and so I don't see what people are. I think it's just an emotion, rather than a thought. And that we're going to get to that. This is another important aspect. So just to understand this, we have to decide a constant and someone that's flaky. Now, with Trump, we see a constant. Kamala Harris, we see, so in Trump, we see a constant in his actions and the way he speaks. He's very consistent. He talked about making the border. He almost finished it, but he wasn't able to finish it by the time he ended presidency. And then when the next president came in, they stopped it. So we see, and many things that happen. Putin wanted to go to war with Ukraine in his time, and he told him not to. We see that he's very consistent in what, and this whole Iran, the threat of Iran to the world, he had it under control. So he's consistent in all the different things that he says. He's very consistent. Kamala, however, does one thing and can say a different thing, something different than the action that she's physically doing. So one has to think to themselves, we have consistency, and then we have this other thing, the other candidate, which is consistent in what they do, but in what they preach, it changes. So we have to say, in my opinion, you have to go with the consistency. But it gets deeper than that. And that is, there's something called